guys, thought I'd do a different style of fighter showcase today, and instead of just showing you guys some highlights and clips of what I've managed to get from the fighter, I thought I would also do a bit of a fight prediction and sort of a assessment of the game plans that I think both gentlemen will incorporate into the fight. So without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, I think we'll go over Overeem. In my opinion, he's going to want to keep the fight standing as much as possible. I really don't think he's going to want to entertain Aleksei's ground game in any way. I think it would be a bad idea if he even attempted to. So I think he's going to try to use the height to his advantage. Both men have an 80-inch reach, so with Overeem having the slight 2-inch height advantage, Oleinik's going to struggle a little bit more, I think, because he's going to have to punch slightly upwards with his strikes, which is always a little bit of a dicey situation. I mean, we saw that last week in the Gastelum-Adesanya fight, Gastelum really struggled at times with finding the right power and whatnot, and finding the right sort of connections, due to how much he had to sort of punch upwards. And I think Oleinik, although he won't struggle as much because the reach or height advantage, is nowhere near as bad as it was in that fight last week, I think it still will have some sort of effect. So I think he's going to try to use his height to his advantage. I think he'll blast off a lot of knees to the body, as well as teep kicks and sort of teep kicks to the leg as well, because I think he's going to want to try and keep Oleinik at bay as much as possible to stop him from trying to go in for a clinch or a takedown or whatever else. And I think he's also going to want to beat up the body so that if Oleinik does try to clinch in, he's going to be a bit slower and a bit more laboured with stuff, and Overeem will be able to find the exits easier as a result. So apart from that, I think he may switch things up a little bit with some elbows to the head and kicks to the head now and then. I think if he sets things up with a lot of body kicks and knees to the sort of solar plexus and leg kicks in round 1, and then in round 2 he fires off a head kick at one point, he may very well catch Oleinik. Because we've seen from Oleinik in the past, his striking is not the most fantastical in the division. He's average, really. So I think Overeem can use that to his advantage, being the clear better striker. I mean, the K1 experience he has, and Pride experience, and just you name it. The years and years the guy has spent fighting. So yeah, I think that will come into play. As for Aleksei, it's clear from the moment the bell starts, he needs to get this fight to the ground. If he wants to stand any chance of fighting a good fight against Overeem, he needs to zap Overeem's stamina, first of all, and get Overeem to the ground. So in order to do that, I think one of the best ways to the best way that he could go about doing that is to sort of take the Daniel Cormier route, and that's to get in real tight, get right close into your opponent, stalk them down, keep the distance very short, because not only will that stop Overeem from being able to fire off his hands so easily, but also it will allow Oleinik to get the clinch in a little easier. It will allow him to fire off shots to Overeem's head easier, and it will also allow him to sink for the takedowns if Overeem goes for a lazy knee or something like that. I think he may also try and use Overeem's height as a disadvantage for Overeem, in the same sort of way that Cormier often does, by staying in real close and kind of getting in the clinch and grabbing your hand behind the head of your opponent and kind of pulling them down towards your strikes. If he can do that, yeah, it may well be game over for Overeem pretty quickly, because we have seen in the past Overeem's chin is not quite what it used to be. So, well, saying that, he never had a perfect chin, but it's certainly got worse and worse over the years, should we say. But apart from that, I think he may also try to employ a bit of sort of the Gastelum technique that we saw last week in the Adesanya Gastelum fight. Sorry to reference that fight quite a lot, but doing the assessment that I did, I feel it's, you know, it's an easy reference for you guys. So, where was I? Yeah, I think he can use the Gastelum approach of kind of getting in there with the jab and then looping with overhands and hooks as Overeem tries to step back. I think that may be a good game plan to employ. And then, of course, switching it up with his clinch and wrestle work and just staying in tight. I think that's the best thing Oleinik can do. Stay in tight and try to make sure that Overeem can't use that height advantage too much. As for the prediction of the fight itself, I'm kind of in two minds. I'd say 60% of me believes that Overeem is going to take it, and I think it'll be by second round TKO. I think with the striking advantage, the power advantage, looking at both gentlemen's records, I mean, if we look over here at Sherdog, both men have lost to Curtis Blades. Aleksei by TKO doctor stoppage in round 2, and Overeem round 3 TKO elbows. So Overeem did last a round longer with Blades than Aleksei did, but it was a doctor stoppage with Aleksei. So, you know, take from that what you will, I guess. As for other matchups, Travis has beaten Aleksei. Oleinik has beaten Aleksei. But apart from that, Aleksei's kind of been on a bit of a streak lately. He's beaten a lot of people, and he's just come off a win over Mark Hunt, which he did pretty good. It was a round 1 rear naked choke. I remember watching that fight. I was pretty impressed with that. Although I wasn't a big fan of seeing Mark Hunt get taken down, because, you know, if there's one guy that you don't want to see ever get put on their back, it's Mark Hunt, really. And the fight before that, he managed to Ezekiel choke Junior Albini in just 1 minute 45 seconds. So that's pretty good. So that does go to show, if he can get Overeem to the ground, I think Overeem will struggle. I really do think he will. But looking at Overeem's side, man, does his record suggest that it's going to be a tough night for Oleinik, because we've seen with Oleinik, he struggles with decent strikers and struggles with people that are taller than him or have a reach advantage. Reach advantage doesn't matter in this fight, of course, but the height advantage does, and I think that will play. Plus the clear striking advantage that Overeem has. I don't know, I just think it's going to be real tough for Oleinik to get in, but if he does get in, then it's going to be a tough night for Overeem. Because we've seen with Overeem, he can struggle a bit in the clinch at times as well. Although if he gets you into the clinch, if he gets you like into the tie clinch, it's game over for you, you know. His knees, his elbows, just everything in that position are devastating. They are so nasty. So I definitely see his tie clinch as the advantage if he gets it. But if he's put into the tie clinch or any other form of clinch, Overeem can struggle, especially if it's more of a wrestling orientated clinch work and Oleinik's not really worrying too much about striking from the clinch. He's more worrying about the grappling and getting Overeem down to the ground and whatnot. Then, yeah, I think Overeem can struggle. So I'm very much 50-50 on it. But I do lean slightly more towards Overeem just because of the striking advantage. And from what I've seen of Oleinik in the past when he has fought excellent strikers. But there is one more thing I do have to touch on. Although I will say, actually, before I get to that, I will mention as well, I've seen Aleksei be frustrated in the past a little bit as well. In the Oleinik fight, he got a little bit reckless in parts and a little bit frustrated because he found he couldn't really get in there too much on the feet, and he couldn't, you know, couldn't fire things off too well. He has looked better since, but I think if Overeem can employ the jab a lot and keep Oleinik back, Oleinik may get a little bit too frustrated for his own good, and that could result in quite a devastating KO or TKO. But we'll have to see on that. Who knows? It all depends on how well Overeem employs his jab and his distance management and kicks and everything else. But what I was going to touch on before is the susceptibility of the KO in this fight. Because as any of you guys that has watched enough of Overeem's fights will know, he has a really, really susceptible chin. If you can connect, and you can connect well, even if you don't connect that well, if you just connect, it can be game over. And it can be game over pretty freaking quickly and devastatingly. And it does not, or at least it quite often, does not seem to take too much to knock Overeem out, or at least to rock him quite devastatingly. So the risk of the KO in this fight on Overeem's end, I think, is much, much higher than on Oleinik's end. I think if Overeem's going to take Oleinik out, it's going to be by TKO in the second or third round. But if Oleinik connects well on Overeem with a good overhand or two, or some good hooks, you know, gets in an uppercut or two, yeah, I lean very heavily towards a KO on Overeem's end. I see him just dropping, because it's happened so many times in his fights. He's been dropped by Blades, Ngannou, Miocic, Rothwell, Brown, Antonio Silva. The list just goes on and on and on. So, yeah, we'll have to see on that. But I do feel that overall, 60% of me thinks Overeem's going to get the TKO second round. But there's the big chance of the KO on his end. And on the opposite side, I got the 40% of me that's leaning towards Oleinik, because if he does get in tight and he manages to clinch work, or get in some good strikes to the chin, or get in some good wrestling work, any of those three variables, it could very, very easily go Oleinik's way. So my prediction is TKO second round for Overeem. I think Aleksei is going to want to get the fight to the ground as quick as possible, try to use Overeem's height as a disadvantage, and stay in close, loop hooks to the head behind his jab, switch it up with clinch and wrestle work. Whereas Overeem, I think he's going to want to keep it standing, use his height to his advantage, blast off knees and teep kicks to the body and to the legs, and switch it up with elbows and kicks to the head, use his jab to keep Oleinik back at a distance, and just kind of use his overall striking advantage to overwhelm Oleinik and take the TKO win. But anyway, regardless of what happens tomorrow night, I'm going to have a video tomorrow showcasing Overeem, and in that video I will give you guys my reactions to the fight. So apart from that, I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. Ta-ta. Just thought I'd quickly come back in to apologize. I thought the audio had gone a little bit longer than it turned out to be. So this fight's going to end up a little bit longer than the audio. So you guys will get a little bit of silence to just appreciate the fight and the outcome. But I do hope you guys enjoy it nevertheless. Once again, I apologize for it, and next time I'll try to make sure that I can fit, you know, the video around the audio a little better. But regardless, once again, I really, really do hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, a comment, a subscription, hit that notification bell, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, you name it. All of it helps. I really, really do appreciate every last little view, every last little like, every last little share and retweet, and you name it. It all means the world to me. And yeah, just thank you guys ever so much. I hope you enjoyed the last few minutes, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Goodbye.
Here. What's the shot here, Joe? Oh, hook to the head by Aleksei Oleinik. Trademark inside leg kick there by the ring.
Alistair is landing some brutal leg kicks here.
Overeem gets touched by that kick there. How about that shin? Overeem's head kick looked like that one was blocked. Oh, that hook has been there all night. There's another one by Oleinik. Overeem's hurt.
This could be it right here. This fight is dangerously close to being stopped.
Oh, huge shot there.
Wow. Things just got real interesting.
He has no answer for you, so let's keep doing it.
There's a night.
Here we go, let's go. You ready? Are you ready?
Third round underway.
That last round was an all-out brawl. If they continue like that in this round, someone's getting knocked out.
Oh, he just continues to land with a high volume of strikes here. Not unlike the previous round, Joe, and at least if his body language is any indication, he is not slowing down whatsoever. Well, he's always on the counterattack, but a nice leg kick there by Overeem. Yes, getting the hands going here early. Oh!
This could be it.
Oh, he might be out.
That's a big hook.
Well, once again, he gets clipped up top, Joe, and again, he continues to show that vulnerability, leaning into his opponent's offense. Got to figure out a way to make the adjustments, change up the tempo, and get that head off the center line.
Ooh, there's a big shot.
That's a good combination.
Big straight punch.
Just over 3 minutes now to go in the fight. Uppercut there, blocked by the Reem.
Oh, he hurt him. He's stumbling. There's a nice inside leg kick.
Overeem's cut is getting worse here. Man, is that bleeding. Oh! Back to the feet.
Excellent movement on the ground here, always trying to better his position.
Posture's up here and now going to the body with that big strike. Nicely done by Oleinik. 90 seconds remain in the fight.
Oh, he got cracked. And now it moves into full guard.
Dizzy as he looks to improve position here.
Back to full guard, very nice.
Oh, worked hard to get up again, but he looks like he's compromised. Switching stances here. Wow! Oh!
Back to his feet again, amazing.
15 seconds. Stuffs that takedown attempt without issue. All right, so this fight goes the distance, and I would think as a judge, even if you took a bathroom break in the middle of this fight, it should not be a difficult fight to score. Clear winner in my mind, just due to the number of takedowns he was able to attempt and land in this fight.
Round two, we see some perfect leg kick technique on display here as this one lands.
Here's Bruce Buffer.
Dominant performance here tonight. I doubt we'll see any surprise here from the judges.
Judges for the contest 30-27, declaring the winner by unanimous decision, Aleksei "The Bubble Constrictor" Oleinik.
All right, so there he is after what you could argue is the biggest win of his UFC career, and at least in terms of the performance, I think his skills have never looked better. And now I think you can start to picture him as a future contender type in this division. So we'll see what the matchmakers choose to do from here. Tonight, though, the celebration is on after he gets a big win by way of decision.